This is a sequel to another video about the difference between criminal cases and civil cases, and it will discuss the situations in which there is a criminal case attached to a related civil case. As a reminder, a criminal case requires two things. One, the case is filed by the police, by a prosecutor, or by a grand jury. And two, the main possibility is for somebody to be punished with jail, prison, or a fine. A lot of times, something that can get a person arrested can also get them sued. A lot of times, something that can get a person arrested can also cause them to lose their license, and not just a driver's license. A lot of times, something that can get a person arrested will also be the main evidence in another case, such as divorce, forfeiture, or protective order lawsuits. For example, if a woman named Stacy uses her car to run from the police, Stacy can be arrested for a crime called evading arrest with a motor vehicle, which is a felony. Stacy could go to prison for years, especially if somebody is injured during the chase. But also the state of Texas can forfeit the car that was used. This results in two separate proceedings. One, to decide if Stacy is guilty and should go to prison, and the other to decide if the state of Texas gets to keep Stacy's car. The two proceedings could have separate judges, separate court dates, and separate results. It is theoretically possible that Stacy could go free, but still lose her car to the state of Texas. That is because the burdens of proof are different. That needs to be the subject of another video. But if Stacy is convicted, she will almost certainly lose the car, even if she gets probation. The criminal case starts when Stacy is arrested by the police, but the civil case starts when the prosecutor files a lawsuit against the car. If a man named Joe, and this is another example, if a man named Joe assaults a man named Rob, Rob could sue Joe, but also Joe could be arrested. In Rob's lawsuit, Rob is mainly trying to get compensation for his injuries. But in Joe's criminal case, Joe could be facing jail time. The criminal case starts when Joe is arrested, but the civil case starts when Rob or his lawyer file the civil suit for compensation. If a man named Peter drives drunk with his children in the back seat, three things could happen. One, a criminal case could start when Peter is arrested or when the prosecutor or grand jury file a criminal case, and Peter will be facing prison time. Two, the state of Texas might try to forfeit Peter's car, which is a civil suit which starts when a prosecutor files a lawsuit against the car. Three, somebody might try to take Peter's children from him. The lawsuit to take away his children is a civil suit that starts when CPS or the mother of the children file the lawsuit. If all three cases are appealed all the way, the criminal case will go to the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, but the other two cases will go to the Texas Supreme Court because everything else goes to the Texas Supreme Court. If a man named Damien is flying, this is our last example, but I'm going to spend some time on it. If a man named Damien is flying an aircraft while intoxicated, he can be charged with a crime. The criminal case begins when he is arrested, or when a prosecutor or grand jury files the charge. But also, the Federal Aviation Administration can revoke his pilot certificate. The effort to revoke the pilot certification is an administrative action until it goes to court. Once it goes to court, then the certificate revocation is a civil suit that begins whenever Damien or the FAA file it. Let's focus on Damien's situation for a little bit. Everything Damien says in one courtroom could be used against him in another courtroom. Obviously, if Damien pleads guilty to the charge of flying while intoxicated, the judge on his pilot's certification will hear that Damien pleaded guilty and probably revoke his certification. On the other hand, if Damien tells the judge on his certification case that he only had one beer, then the judge in the criminal case will know that Damien admitted to drinking beer. It's not that the two judges talk to each other, it's that the lawyers against Damien talk to each other and then take it to the judge. Also, we're still talking about Damien. Under the Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution, Damien has the right to remain silent. The effect of his right to remain silent is that During the criminal trial, the prosecutor cannot ask Damien to take the witness stand, and Damien never has to say much of anything other than identifying himself, maybe. Also, if Damien chooses not to take the witness stand in the criminal case, then nobody can assume he is guilty just because he chose not to testify. And the prosecutor cannot make any comments about Damien's choice to remain silent. But the lawsuit on his certification is different. In the lawsuit to revoke Damien's certification, Damien can be forced to take the witness stand. And for each question that Damien does not want to answer, Damien must say that his answer might get him locked up. And from that, a judge or jury can make reasonable guesses about what his answers would be. For example, in the civil suit about his pilot certification, the FAA lawyer might ask Damien, "Did you have any beers in the 12 hours before your flight?" And Damien might say, "On the basis of my right to remain silent, I decline to answer that question." Then the FAA lawyer might ask him, "Did you feel buzzed when you taxied to the runway?" And Damien might say, "I claim my Fifth Amendment right not to answer that question." Then Damien doesn't have to answer the questions, but the judge or jury could believe that Damien had more than one beer and was feeling no pain as he taxied to takeoff. Another example. Damien has the right to a court-appointed lawyer in the criminal case if he cannot afford to hire a lawyer. But that's not true in the civil case on his certification. The lawyer appointed to his criminal case will not help Damien in some other proceeding, not even the other proceeding on his certification problem. So if Damien does something ignorant in the civil suit because he's in court without a lawyer, it could be used against him in the criminal case. I hope this helps you understand the difference between criminal and civil cases, and I hope it helps you understand some of the proceedings we'll be talking about in detail in future classes. Thank you.